Usually I spend my time talking to not such a enlightened audience about design, the merits of design. And today I realized that I'm talking to Pradyumna Vyas, who's talked about the challenges of multidisciplinary design early in the morning. And Sarika, thanks for the presentation. I had the privilege of working in one of the buildings that she has shown. Anis, my colleague who's here, worked with her as a client and spent a lot of his effort in that, achieving that space. So already there's a lot of you who know about car design and what we do as a profession, which is a very different experience for me because I'm usually talking to accountants, engineers, bean counters, business people, and extolling the virtues of design in the organization. So ever since I've been a child, ever since I can remember, I've always wanted to design cars. And I've had the opportunity to travel and work in many, many different places, do really what I enjoy most. The profession is, as we just said, extremely diverse. It's extremely multidisciplinary. It's not a single field. We combine architecture of a vehicle with the art and fashion of projecting what people will have in tastes in the future. And then within the organization, we act as the brand, the custodians of the brand, and the custodians of the actual fruition of bringing a product from an idea or a concept or a drawing into reality. And we bring all this together in the organization, in our industry especially. So this requires multidisciplinary thinking, a lot of immersion into different ways of doing things. And if you just break it down, we design the shape. So initially the profession has this conjures this image of people styling, creating a shape, creating an expression, just a sculpture. And then we design the space. It's like architecture. It's the space in which we live. It's our third space between home and office, is where we commute. The surface, the textures, the qualities of those colors, the trims, and of course now more and more interface. So this profession is growing in complexity. We also have the great opportunity of working with different kinds of arts and crafts and bringing them together to take it into complete fruition, from the ability to draw, make models in clay, in big industrial clay, full-size cars, which then become more and more refined and precise until we fight for the last millimeter. So while 2030 for us, in an industry where we take about 4 years to go from scratch to fruition, and the product needs to be relevant for about 10 years and really recuperate all our investments in a vehicle. 2030 is not a vision. It's something that we are actively working on today. So I can tell you I can really try to tell you what is coming and how we are getting to 2030. But first, I'd like to just open your minds to what we look at when we talk about mobility. Some of us have had not the best commute or travel this morning with the traffic, but mobility is something that we look at as the personal mobility of getting somewhere and really enjoying a journey. But it's a lot deeper than that, and we do get into that. Shared mobility is becoming much more talked about, and how do we design the vehicles and the systems and create the experience for these. We also see that mobility is becoming quite personal. People have different needs. People want to have different routines. People like to go through, some maybe have it's their exercise time, it's their me time, it's their personal time, it's their music time. So commuting and mobility, what that gives you is completely different according to your needs. But also mobility is really important because it sustains our life. It's like what brings food to our doorstep, to our corner shop, and to our corner shop, to our final home. Mobility is about not just us moving, but it's about goods and services. So it's what makes our internet lifestyle of click and buy and get a 24-hour delivery, what mobility is designed to do. And we all want that to be completely seamless, and we want to have a good experience no matter what mobility we are looking at. So we go one step further, and that's also as designers, where the professors talked about this morning, where we have to broaden our outlook. So as vehicle designers, going into mobility designers, going from designing a vehicle to designing a mobility experience, we really have to also look at the infrastructure and design the vehicles for the infrastructure and influence the design of the infrastructure to accommodate the vehicles of the future. And this is very important when it goes into India. So really the scope of this profession has really expanded. And as we get to an era, as we're going to 2030, the combination of what is happening technologically, what is happening in our infrastructure, and what is happening demographically in our country is really changing the landscape. We'll start with technology, because this is something I think everybody is well aware of. We talk about it a lot. It's about the electrification and the connectivity that's coming into the vehicles. Oh, I'll start with infrastructure, sorry. Infrastructure, because infrastructure is something that we are dealing with. A lot of traffic, a lot of construction going on in today's world in India. And we see this as the panacea, but it's also causing other problems. So we looking at solutions where we combine the new metro systems that will come into place with a much more, I would say, current and modern experience of the last mile. Because today, we may go in an air-conditioned metro that's very modern, and we step out in the station, and then down the road, there's chaos with all the three-wheelers and two-wheelers and taxis, everybody jostling for attention, and then by the time you get on a bus and you get to where you actually want to go, your entire new modern metro experience has been ruined. So how can we integrate this electrical experience or air-conditioned experience of the new metro, new infrastructure, and put in the old infrastructure the vehicles that are going to continue that sense of liberation and well-being during our travel. Technology, as I started saying, technology really becoming a very important aspect of vehicle design, and the product and the experience and the process in the way which we do it. We talk a lot about electrification. Electrification is clean, it's green, it's simple, it's smart. And we're working on vehicles that are designed for electrification. The initial cars are using a horse and a carriage analogy. We put the engine in the front, we put the cabin at the back, we put the luggage as a suitcase in the back, further back. But when we go to electrification and there is no horse and there is no cart, it's all one, how do we create those experiences? And that means through technology, we are able to create a really new expressions of sculpture and new expressions of lighting. Lights, when they came into a car, were for us to tell everybody where we're going, what we're going to do, or to light up the road for the driver who's driving. But now they can communicate a lot more intelligent things about self-driving, connectivity, and so on. The manufacturing technology of these details has also, increased significantly. Energy consumption, brightness, not blinding other people. What then happens is that we look at the space, where the space that we inhabit is the experience. So by taking away all the engines, all the mechanics of the vehicle, taking away the horses, we're able to put a focus on the interior out. So from style and shape and form, the space becomes the predominant expression of a vehicle. And that's where we are going to enjoy the mobility experience. And how we express that is going to be really, really much more important in the future. We also see this with people, their choices are led by the interior rather than just the shape or the style or the exterior. And then focusing on that through almost architecture or interior design and product design, like detailing, to bring out the best of the experience is what technology is enabling us. Technology is not all gimmicks, it's not all lights and bells and whistles or screens, and it can become very human. It can make the experience very, very enjoyable. It can be very emotive. It can create an effect that is much more in line with our humanness. Again, topic that was covered today. Create empathy rather than create entertainment. Of course, that leads to connectivity and how we see that in the automotive world, in automotive design, interaction design is very different from interaction design on mobile phones or computers or websites. Because our interaction design is not to create or attract a lot of eyeballs. It's to make sure you can control a vehicle while driving without attracting your eyeballs. So you focus on the road, but you're able to interact and get all the information and all the necessary interaction you need with your vehicle, with the road, with your machine interface, without having to take your eye off the road. And that becomes a completely new layer of interaction design, which is very challenging. So I think the technology journey is going to be great, and I think it's really wonderful for us to get on board and really enjoy it and not be hindered by it, because that would make the mobility experience much better, whether it be a personal experience or even an experience of getting your delivery of goods and items. We see that in India there's a demographic shift. We are a very young population. We are living post COVID. We live in we want to make the most of everything we've got. We have a fear of missing out, and we have a you only live once, mindset, which means that we've gone from buying the smallest, cheapest, most useful car to buying something that's much more aspirational, really stretching our budgets, and making purchases not to please our grandma and our, over a family and neighborhood, but just to please ourselves. And this has given a rise to, despite things that we read about environmentally friendliness, careful consumption, being responsible, we still want the best car that money can buy. And we want the best car for ourselves, for our families, for our trips, and really this whole shift that we're seeing of a younger population is and very confident younger population is the self-fulfillment out of our purchases. And this is very true in the personal mobility space, so in cars. And that means we want the space. Yes, we want the shape to express that we've arrived, it's rugged, it's safe, it's going to keep me well, but also that the space is much more like we aspire to in our home. We do not want to be in a steel dabba with plastic sheets and wrappings. We want to be in something that reminds us of our living room, and the interiors of our home or our office really starts becoming really important, what we call the third space. We're very, very flamboyant and expressive. We're looking at extremely strong colors. We want to express our personality. Almost the fashion of what we wear, the choices of how we dress and how we express ourselves is also going into something that used to be a very conservative purchase. We'll buy it in white or gray because after sales is really important. So don't get upset if I said buy white or gray, Professor Vyas. But even like the ranges that we have, making dark black cars and branding them, and people getting very personal about their choices. Not very new and really a growth perspective. So with that, I'll leave you with a project that we are really proud of. We've sketched it. We've made the models of it. We've made the prototypes, the film, the filming, the animation, the presentation, the music. All of it is done by the design department in-house. And we're really proud about this because it really expresses where we are going as a company, really creating, building desire. Thank you. Definitely, we're going to see cars like this and much better in the years to come in 2030 and beyond. Thank you.